Good afternoon. We're picking up on the second chapter of Beyond the Grave with Carter Plib. Hope you enjoy the golf cart incident, chapter 2. When you make your living as a professional antagonist, you naturally assume your demise will be cinematic. You expect it to mean something. In my quieter moments late at night, when the Adderall was wearing off and a blue light from my monitor was the only thing illuminating my meticulously curated studio apartment, I used to picture how it would go out. I imagined an unhinged radical rushing the stage during one of my campus speeches. I pictured a shadowy deep state operative tampering with the brakes of my leased Audi. I envisioned becoming a martyr. My face would be plastered across thumbnails for decades. The truth they killed Carter Plib for. Instead, I was taken out by a flock of waterfowl and a decorative retaining wall at a speed of equivalent to about a jog. It was a Tuesday, a spectacularly beautiful Tuesday on Earth. The day was the kind of day where the sky is a piercing, impossible blue, devoid of even a wisp of cloud. I was at the Whispering Pines Golf and Racket Club in Boca Raton. I don't play golf. The mechanics of it are fundamentally opposed to my brand. It takes too long, it requires patience, and there's no way to loudly interrupt your opponent when they're trying to sink a putt without looking like a lunatic. But my producer, Lenny Fisk, had booked us tea time because he said we needed B-roll of me engaging in traditional aristocratic masculine pursuits. Lenny's idea of masculinity was entirely shaped by the 1980s stockbroker movies. I'd spent the last 2 hours driving a rented E-Z-Go golf cart erratically around the back nine, wearing a polo shirt that was one size too small, and screaming at the dashboard camera. I was filming a segment on how the existence of participation trophies in youth soccer was a direct pipeline to the collapse of the Roman Empire. It was good stuff, high octane. I had nailed the take where I angrily gestured at a 9-iron. Lenny was back at the clubhouse, probably drinking a $6 iced tea and calculating how many mid-roll ads we could cram into a 10-minute video. I was heading back to meet him, driving down a smoothly paved path bordered by meticulously manicured hibiscus bushes, and then they appeared. A gaggle of Canadian geese, roughly a dozen of them, waddling out from the edge of the pristine man-made water hazard to cross the asphalt path directly in front of me. Now, from my current vantage point, in the grand, terrifying expanse of the afterlife, I can see those geese for what they truly were. Majestic, instinct-driven creatures, navigating the migratory echoes of their ancestors. They were perfect biological machines, entirely unburdened by ego, or the desperate clawing need for validation. They were simply existing in the sunlight. Watching them move, I feel an overwhelming surge of cosmic affection. What a miracle a bird is. Feathers engineered by millions of years of evolution, hollow bones built for flight. They are poetry in motion. But at that specific moment, sitting in a beige fiberglass cart with my camera rolling, they weren't miracles. They were the enemy. They were arrogant. They were walking slowly with that infuriating, entitled waddle taking up the entire path. They didn't even look at me as I approached. They assumed I would stop. They assumed I would yield. Yielding. I had just tweeted 3 days prior to my 3.2 million followers is the first thing of the woke mind virus. The alpha moves forward. The beta pumps the brakes. It wasn't about to pump the brakes for a bunch of feathery welfare recipients living rent-free on a private golf course. I pressed my foot down harder on the accelerator. The electric motor whined in a high-pitched, pathetic protest. "Move!" I barked, leaning out of the cart. "Get a job, you parasites." I was going exactly 12 miles per hour. I know this because the police report, which I watched Lenny read on a live stream an hour after I died, noted the E-Z-Go's governed top speed, 12 miles per hour. Is not the speed at which a human being should meet their maker. It is a speed at which you might spill a moderately full cup of coffee. The lead goose, a massive, aggressive-looking unit with a black neck and white chin strap, finally stopped. It turned its head, locked eyes with me, and hissed. It was a terrible reptilian sound. It bypassed the frontal lobe entirely and struck some ancient primitive fear center in my brain. In a split second of absolute shameful cowardice, the alpha facade cracked. I flinched. I jerked the steering wheel hard to the left to avoid the bird. At 12 miles per hour, a sudden sharp left turn in a top-heavy, poorly suspended utility vehicle is a recipe for disaster. The cart tilted violently. The tires screeched against the asphalt. My camera, unsuctioned from the dash by the force, flew directly into my chest. Directly in my path was a retaining wall. It was maybe 2 feet high, constructed of lovely sandstone, designed to keep a bed of decorative mulch from spilling onto the path. It was an entirely aesthetic architecture choice, a landscaping flourish. There was a moment right before the fiberglass bumper made contact with the sandstone, where time dilated. The universe, perhaps sensing my imminent departure, slowed everything down to a crawl. I saw droplets of water from a nearby sprinkler suspended in the air, refracting the brilliant Florida sun into 1,000 microscopic rainbows. I smelled the intoxicating, sweet scent of freshly cut Bermuda grass. I heard the rustle of the wind through the palm fronds, an ancient whispering language that suddenly made absolute heartbreaking sense to me. I realized with a profound and staggering grief that I had spent my entire life being angry at nothing. I had built a fortress of rage to protect a deeply frightened child inside me, and in doing so I had missed the breathtaking beauty of the world. I wanted to live. I wanted to climb out of the cart, fall into the soft grass, and let the warm sun hit my face. I wanted to call Sarah Higgins and apologize for the time I called her a soy-drenched libtard in 11th grade. I wanted to be. Then the cart hit the wall. Crack! The physics of a crash are unforgiving regardless of the velocity. The cart stopped immediately. I, unbound by the seatbelt that golf carts fundamentally lack, did not. I launched forward, ascending from the vinyl seat like an ungraceful khaki-clad eagle. My knees hit the plastic dashboard, shattering it, and acting as a fulcrum that vaulted my upper body towards the roof frame. My forehead connected with the thick aluminum support strut of the canopy. There was no blinding flash of light. There was no life flashing before my eyes. There was just remarkably a loud thwack. A sound that, like a baseball bat hitting a honeydew melon. And then, in an instant, overwhelming darkness. The universe simply pulled the plug. And then, a millisecond later, I was here, sitting in the orange plastic chair, under the buzzing fluorescent lights of eternity, clutching a ticket that says 9,482,110,483. I reach up and touch my forehead. There's no blood, no bump, no physical evidence of blunt force trauma that severed my mortal coil. My spiritual form is perfectly intact. I sigh, leaning back in the chair. The trampled woman next to me continues her low, ancient humming. It's humiliating, honestly, the lack of dignity in it. If the mainstream media got a hold of the details, they're going to have a field day. Right-wing provocateurs slain by decorative landscaping. They'll make memes. The geese will become a leftist symbol of resistance. People will sell t-shirts with a goose wearing a little Antifa bandana. It's entirely predictable. The left has no original material. They just cannibalize tragedy for engagement. If I had my phone, I could get out ahead of the narrative. I could frame the country club for negligence. I could sue the manufacturer of the E-Z-GO golf cart for failing to install airbags. What kind of corner-cutting, deregulated, crony, capitalist racket are they running over there at E-Z-GO? I'd destroy them. I'd have my followers tank their stock price by the end of their trading day. I'd start a GoFundMe for my own legal defense against Big Golf, and I'd pull in $500,000 by Tuesday. The phantom register in my head rings again. Cha-ching! I stare at the blank beige wall in front of me. The profound beauty of the sprinkler's rainbows completely evaporated from my memory, replaced only by the burning, conditioned need to find someone, anybody, to blame for the fact that I am dead. That's the end of chapter 2.